Welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right in, because today we're talking about high-volume traffic, massive teams, and honestly, incredibly complex requirements. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't build a tower and skyscraper without a rock-solid blueprint and an industrial-grade foundation. Or, well, at least you shouldn't if you want it to stay up, right? Building complex, enterprise-level web applications is exactly the same. You need an architecture designed literally from the ground up for scale and stability. So, what really makes a web app enterprise ready? If you've ever worked on a scaling development project, you know the chaotic reality all too well. You've got different teams using totally mismatched libraries, code just completely breaking during updates, security patches turning into absolute logistical nightmares. It's the digital equivalent of trying to build an office tower with, well, basically duct tape. To avoid a complete structural collapse in your software, you absolutely need a structured, comprehensive solution.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our blueprint for today. We'll start with the Enterprise Web Challenge, lay down an all-in-one foundation, explore the TypeScript advantage, and then look at how Angular is built for massive scale, uncompromising security, and finally, future-proofing modern web apps. Part 1. The Enterprise Web Challenge. Entering the first phase of our build, we face a pretty crucial reality. When you're dealing with a high-traffic environment, you need frameworks that simply won't buckle. It's not just about getting a site live, it's about keeping it standing when thousands of users hit it at the exact same time. Now, we need to clear up a massive piece of industry confusion right off the bat. When we talk about enterprise readiness today, we mean modern Angular, which you'll often hear called Angular 2+. This is a complete, high-performance rewrite from the legacy Angular JS framework. Anyone who's ever tangled with legacy code knows the pain of older, fractured architectures. Modern Angular completely solves that by moving away from the old model view controller pattern to a highly scalable, component-based architecture that's built squarely around modern web standards.
Moving on to Part 2, an all-in-one foundation. Like we said, every skyscraper needs a concrete base that won't crack under immense pressure. Unlike piecing together a bunch of random fragile libraries and, just crossing your fingers every time you deploy, Angular is a comprehensive, holistic framework straight out of the box. It gives you a component-based architecture where self-contained units can be developed and tested totally independently. It features built-in data binding, dependency injection, and some really robust state management options. Plus, being maintained by Google guarantees that much-needed long-term support. This drastically reduces your reliance on third-party tools, literally saving development teams hundreds of hours in initial configuration and integration nightmares. It's a total game changer.
Part 3. The TypeScript advantage. When you have hundreds of developers working on the exact same code base, strict development rules are really the only thing preventing a structural collapse. And that is exactly where TypeScript comes in. It's a superset of JavaScript that introduces static type checking and object-oriented features, like classes and interfaces. Think of it as a universal translator for massive construction crews where previously no one spoke the exact same language. By using strong typing, developers are literally forced to define exactly what kind of data is moving through the application. This leaves no room for dangerous ambiguity and stops catastrophic bugs, like, say, a user object being accidentally processed as a text string, dead in their tracks before the code even compiles. So the crucial point is this: catching miscommunications and bugs before a single brick is even laid saves enterprises massive amounts of time and, honestly, more importantly, money. It leads directly to incredibly stable and reliable apps, which is absolutely paramount when you're managing complex code bases across large, globally distributed teams. Part 4. Built for massive scale. Okay, this is where we look at the scaffolding and the high-speed elevators of our building. Angular provides some serious, heavy-lifting construction tools to maintain consistency. First up, you have the Angular CLI. If you remember the dark ages of tedious manual project setup, well, the CLI is an absolute lifesaver, fully automating code scaffolding, testing, and deployment. Then you've got seamless integration with tools like RxJS for reactive programming, which effortlessly handles complex multiple streams of data. And for managing the overall state of your application, basically tracking everything happening in any given moment, there's NGRX for unidirectional state management. Working together, these tools allow your application to scale up modularly without just breaking apart under its own weight. Let's look at how this builds into a high-performance experience step by step. First, obviously, the code is written. Second, Angular uses ahead-of-time, or AOT, compilation to process and compile that code on the server side, long before it ever reaches the user. Third, the Ivy renderer steps in to optimize things even further, generating smaller, incredibly efficient code and completely slashing bundle sizes. And finally, because all that heavy computing was already finished behind the scenes, the browser loads the app lightning fast. In the enterprise world, shaving even milliseconds off load times translates directly into higher conversion rates and much, much happier users. Part 5. Uncompromising security and testing. Now, a skyscraper isn't just about impressive height, right? It has to actually withstand external threats and constant wear and tear. Enterprise apps are prime targets for cyber attacks, but Angular addresses this straight out of the box. It automatically protects against common vulnerabilities with built-in cross-site scripting or XSS protection. It also includes HTTP client sanitization and enforces really strict content security policies. But true security also requires stability, which is exactly why Angular provides built-in tools like Karma for executing rapid unit tests and Protractor for end-to-end testing that simulates actual user interactions. This entire suite ensures your application is rigorously vetted before it ever goes live. Part 6. Future-proofing modern web apps. As we finally reach the penthouse of our build, we really need to ensure our application is adoptable for tomorrow. And this means embracing progressive web apps, or PWAs. These deliver native, app-like experiences, robust offline capabilities, push notifications, and incredibly fast load times directly on the web, completely regardless of the device or sketchy network conditions. Angular seamlessly provides the tools to create these PWAs easily. It also heavily supports web components for integration with outside libraries. And this brilliantly illustrates Angular's ultimate flexibility. It's not just a framework for today, it's an architecture designed to adapt seamlessly to tomorrow's modern web technologies. Which brings us to a very important question for you to ponder today. Is your current framework truly ready for the enterprise? Really think about your own development projects for a second. Are you piecing together fragile, disjointed libraries, or are you building on a rock-solid, all-in-one foundation? When you consider the comprehensive ecosystem, the absolute safety of TypeScript, the rigorous security, and the unmatched scalability we've explored today, Angular makes a highly compelling case as the premier blueprint for large-scale development. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep evaluating your tools, and as always, keep building for excellence.